Hey heathens, I got a response to one of my videos. 23-year-old Veritas48 showed great wisdom in how he said something in response to who is more moral. And he responded to that video, and this is a response to his. First things first, remember that you are not the target audience, Veritas. And I hope I'm saying your name right. You don't think the way these people do, and you can't. It's hard to get inside the mind of someone who thinks that absolutely ridiculous. It's like trying to understand how the mind of a schizophrenic works. You just can't do it because you're not schizophrenic. Well, you're not one of these people, so you can't understand how their mind works. They were the intended audience, not you so much. But you started off from this very opening thing where you said where I mentioned that atheists are more moral than their Christian counterparts, and it kind of put you in the wrong mindset, and you misunderstood some of the things I was saying. But we're going to come back to all that. I'm going to roll real quick through there. But you said that I didn't give any examples for that or any justification. That's not true. I mentioned the prison population. There is a big difference between the prison population in response to the common population of atheists versus the prison population versus common population of Christians. Just as many Christians go to jail as there are in the population, but a huge difference comes when you look at how many atheists are in prison versus in the general population. Big difference. But anyway, a lot of these questions you ask the same thing over and over again. Variations of the same thing. Basically, you're wanting to know. I said that we're good because we should be good, in other variations of how I said that, and you re-ask the question over and over again. Basically, why should we? What grounds do we have for our morality? All right, we're going to come back to that. I want to get back first to some of the other things you said. You mentioned that when I said the world would be a better place if we all cared for each other, you said that that's what Christianity taught. Yeah, right. You're absolutely right. That is what Christianity teaches. So does everybody else. It's kind of common sense. It's not a religious thing. It's a common sense thing. You said I said it was a tenet of, well, not that I said it was a tenet, but that I presented it as a tenet of atheism solely. That's not true. I never said that. Watch it again. I never said that. That is just simply why we do it. That's why we do it. Other people do it for that same reason too, sure. But that's why we do it. It's not exclusive to atheism. And I'm going to prove that in just a second using your words. You said that it presupposes that I was presupposing morality. Not true. That's somewhat of a valid statement. It's something that you learn, and by the time you figure out what's right, you already know what's right. And it comes from growing up and learning things as a small child. I'll explain in a minute. You want to know what our grounds were, how do you ground your objectivity, and other stuff like that. You talked about me where I mentioned atheists being discriminated, and then you talked about me mocking you. First off, I didn't mean it to be mockery. I still don't see why you thought it was. I simply said let's ask God, and because I wanted to present it as, think about it. If you were God, who would you rather have in your heaven? A bunch of ass kissers, or a bunch of people who just behave themselves and you don't have to tell them to? Would you rather it be these folks who have to read your book and feel fear of hell and the promise of heaven, or these folks over here who just don't feel like making life more difficult for other people? Which one would you rather have? The ones you have to constantly get on, or the ones who you never have to pay attention to? That was the whole idea. But you felt it was mockery, and I apologize that you felt that way. It certainly was not my intentions. But still, you're trying to compare my discussion of discrimination against atheists against mockery. Mockery might hurt your feelings, but it's not going to cost you your job. It's not going to get you evicted from your apartment. It's not going to get you kicked out of school. These are things that have happened to atheists when people found out about their beliefs. Oh, you're not a Christian? Oh, you can't hang out with us no more. And it's crazy. I don't think you're one of those people, though, and again, that's why you don't understand that whole thing. You don't understand why people would do that, because you're probably a decent fella. Again, from what I can tell, I like you. I'm going to watch some more of your videos. You may be up for Halo Award. Huh? We'll see. 23rd Check it out. All right. Then you mentioned I said Christians were boring. No, I said a lot of Christians are boring, and a lot of them are. Sorry, they are. Those who, I don't really know how to classify them so that you would understand what I'm talking about, but the ones who think that everybody else are not real Christians, the ones who say that they are real Christians, those are the boring ones. They don't do anything. They don't offer anything. They just want to go to church and blah, 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 blah. They're boring. Would you want to go to a party with them? No, nobody wants to go to a party with them. Some of the moderate folks that kind of are, they believe, but they're not really all of that religious. Yeah, those guys are cool. But the others, sorry. Most of that was done as a joke. If you watch it again and you kind of change your mentality of how you're watching me say it, you'll understand. I was joking there, and again, didn't mean for you to take it so personally. I can see how you would, but again, it wasn't meant that way. All right, then you mentioned a moral lawgiver, and again, you want to know who can ground moral perspectiveness more effectively. Okay, so that brings us full circle. Your moral giver is God. Okay, your Bible, what you believe to be true, which we don't. 2,000 years old. Well, really 1,700 years old, to be fair. Plus other parts that are even older than that. Who is our moral lawgiver? You want to know who it is? Mine? The guy living next door. The guy I bump into at the grocery store. The guy that I talk to when I'm at work. The guy that I pass on the street. Who is my moral lawgiver? Everyone around me. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Or as you would have them do unto you. That's right, yeah. Kind of cross my two over. There's multiple variations here. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There's another one that says, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. There's another one that says, treat others as they wish to be treated. There's many versions of it. It's the golden rule. Is this a Christian tenet solely? As you brought up before? No. It's all over the place. It's kind of universal. What is your moral grounds? Human empathy. It has less to do with morals and more to do with ethics. If you kind of understand the difference between the two, just think of it from that perspective. Morals versus ethics. Morals, things you are told to do that you have to do because it's moral. Ethics, what you ought to do. Why ought you do it? All right, what's your grounding for that? If you ask that question, good question. It's Pavlovian. Okay, remember Pavlov from high school science? The whole dog thing, rings a bell, presents food eventually when he rings the bell, dog salivates. Okay, it's Pavlovian. If you do something and something good happens, you deem it to be good. If you do something and something bad happens, you deem it to be bad. When you were a child, again, this is coming full circle from the stuff I said earlier. When you were a child, you took something away from another child. Mom and Dad went, "No, don't do that." You went, why? And the other kids went, and eventually you figure out, hey, that makes him cry. People don't want other people to cry. It's a bad thing to make other people cry. We shouldn't do that. Okay, I shouldn't take things away from people because that'll make them cry. Got it. The problem. Pavlovian. You eventually learn that if I do something and it causes a negative effect, it's negative, and so it's wrong, and I shouldn't do it. That's how atheists base their morals, or ethics, if you prefer. It's really that simple. It really is. I don't kill other people because it might make the community not trust me and want to kill me or kick me out of the community. I can't have that. I don't steal from other people because, again, it would make me untrustworthy, and therefore it would make it difficult for me to survive in a social environment. And we are social creatures. It's that simple. It really is. And to quote you, we act good for the same reason you do. That is why I loved your response. We act good for the same reason that you do. I like hearing you say it. Let's close with that.
We don't act good because God tells us to. We act good the same reason you do.